Step 1, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, fuck everybody, just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Yo, set your affirmations, aspirations. I got shit to do, the aftermath of preparation. Good food, good mood, blood in circulation. One step at a time, yeah, that's how you make it. Set a goal you control and the steps you take them.
Welcome, and we're going to be talking about ADHD and neurodiversity in the workplace, but with a difference, okay? Because ADHD is not a secret anymore. People know about it. Celebs have got it. Everyone's talking about it. BBC doing documentaries on it. All sorts of things, and hopefully you're going to get a bit of a different angle on it tonight, because the way that we deal with things in Eden Well Style, which is the name of the company. Good evening, welcome, come in. The way that we deal with things is a little bit different than the regular kind of thing that goes on outside, and you'll learn about that as we go on. There's the old school and there's the new school, right? The old school was that our brain was set around 30 years old, and there's nothing more that we can do about it. We have a brain, it grows from before we're born up until we're about 25, 30, it matures, and it's stuck. That's it. You got a good brain, you don't have a good brain, that's what you have. That's the old school. In the last 25 years or so, we've discovered that that's not correct. And in fact, the brain is malleable. It can be changed. In fact, not only can it be changed, but it's actually changing all the time. And all our experiences from the minute we're born, and sometimes even before, add to those changes in the brain. And if we actually had the ability, and we're still not quite there yet, but if we did have the machinery to scan everybody's brain and actually get down to a resolution, we would see that everybody's brain is unique, completely unique. And that includes even twins of the same parents. Why? Because even twins of the same parents have different parents. How's that possible? All children of parents have different sets of parents, because if you're born and you've got siblings, well, let's say you were born first. So your parents were the parents of one child. And your brother or sister was born, they had parents that had a child before that. And they were also maybe a little bit older. And the same with twins. Twins have parents that they like this one a little bit better, they like this one does this, so they react in this way, and this one does this, and so they react in this way. And so they have different experiences of their parents. And if they have different experiences, their brain is changing accordingly. Why is that important for us in this evening? It's important for us in this evening because whether you've been diagnosed or not, or whether you know somebody that's been diagnosed or not, and I really don't like that word, but let's keep it there just now because it's common language, with ADHD or autism or dyspraxia or any of these kind of neurodiverse conditions, we have to realize that it doesn't mean that that's our fate set and that's what it is. Everyone has an ability to change your own life according to our behavior and according to our mindset. And it's not just a kind of a hippy-dippy kind of thing that you can say that's kind of new age. It's all set in really solid science now. And it's fascinating. And so tonight is about the new way. It's about whether you yourself have some sort of condition And that condition can be what's called neurotypical. In other words, you're not ADHD, it's also a condition, right? So, or you know somebody, or you're an employer of somebody, or you're an entrepreneur. Anyone here an entrepreneur? Yeah, anyone working for somebody that knows somebody with some sort of neurodiversity? Yeah, anyone feel that they might have it themselves? Right, okay. So wonderful. So we're in the right place at the right time.
I don't know, my wife tells me all the time.
Look, I'm telling you, Alison, who's part of the team, and you're going to meet the team tonight, but we were talking and she said that there's a lot of people are contacting her about dyspraxia. So I'm like, what's dyspraxia? So I started to research dyspraxia and kind of realized that I've got it. I'm telling you, you don't realize how difficult it was for me putting these things up.
Isn't it called clumsy syndrome?
Clumsy syndrome is not the word, right? I put up these little roll-ups. You can ask. I've got blood everywhere. It's falling down. It got ripped. Incredible, right? So hopefully we're going to learn something in a new way tonight. And the approach is self-compassionate, right? In other words, compassion. Anyone know what compassion is? Anyone know what it means? What's compassion? We hear it all the time, compassion, compassion. What is compassion? Anyone?
Is it to be kind to yourself as well?
Okay, so self-compassion can be kind to yourself. Anyone else got another, what compassion might mean? Okay, so it's all of these things that have been said, but it's not enough. In other words, compassion has two components to it. The first component is recognizing, feeling empathetic, being kind, understanding, if it's about someone else, that someone else is in some sort of pain. That's the first part of it, but not enough. The second part of compassion that makes it compassion is that you want to do something about it. So you want to comfort them in some way. So there's recognition of pain and action to comfort. These two things make up compassion. Now, it's not fixing, so don't let's get into the fixing mode. We can't fix anybody. We can't even fix ourselves, never mind fix somebody else. But we can comfort. And comfort sometimes just means being in the same place or letting them know that you're there if they're needed. One thing that's very compassionate is what's going on right now in this room, even whether you realize it or not. Human beings talk to each other all the time. Their bodies are talking all the time. Regulation of emotions are going on all the time. We're all co-regulating each other right now. If there's something that I would want you to take away from this, even if we stop right now, is what we're doing now, human beings in the same vicinity, is probably the number one protection factor for almost anything you can think of, physical, emotional, psychological, neurological. When you're with another human being, you've got the top protective factor or the top antidote to whatever's going on. And that's what we're doing now. So self-compassion is doing the same thing for ourselves. Is consider ourselves as if it was somebody else. What would you do? And then turning it into ourselves. So it's not about having bubble bath and ice cream, although sometimes that's quite good. But self-compassion is being kind to ourselves, acknowledging that sometimes we're in pain, and that's okay, and wanting to do something about it. Something that we can do to comfort ourselves, which might be connecting to what's important to us and who's important to us, and going out and doing some sort of action. Okay, who's talking to you? My name is Dov Ben Yaakov Kurtzman. And I've put all these kind of fancy things on the screen, not to kind of impress you in any way, but because I'm proud of it. When I was leaving school, I left school with no qualifications whatsoever. And only afterwards, I realized, not because I wasn't intelligent, although I did think at the time, and I was convinced at the time, that I had a learning disability. I was convinced that I could not learn. I could not learn anything academic. And I hated school. I couldn't connect to the school and didn't know why. And even though I tried, and I didn't try that hard, I must say, but I did try, nothing would stick, nothing would go in. And so then I eventually left the books. I didn't do any homework. And it wasn't surprising that at the end of school, I wrote my name and walked out the examination room. I did go on as a second chance to learn in a hospital and do biochemistry. I thought I want to be a biochemist. And they kind of took me on and sent me to college. And the same thing happened there. And so I realized that I was finished from the point of view of learning, and that was it. On top of that, I had very close people to me who ridiculed me for not having a university degree and made me feel that I was less than because I didn't have a university degree. And that meant a lot to me because I really wanted to have a university degree, not really knowing why, but that was the kind of thing that you're supposed to do, to be an intelligent human being. And it went through with me for the rest of my life until I was in my late 30s, when different mentors came up to me and said, you know, you could go to university and we believe that you could actually do it. And it took me a while to gain the courage. And I said, well, I don't have any leaving certificates. I don't have anything. They said, don't worry, we'll help you. So I went and they said, what do you want to study? And I thought, well, if I've got anything I want to study, I'll pick something. So I thought, I want to study law. So they said, right, if you want to study law, we'll help you get in and study law. And I thought, and they said, but we can do a special program where you can study 2 degrees at the same time, simultaneously. So you can do a BA in government and politics, and you can do an LLB in law. Why don't you want to do that? And I thought, well, nothing to lose because I can't do anything anyway, so I'll go and do that. And at the end of the 4 years, I had 2 degrees. And I'm like, where's that come from? And my mentors kept encouraging me, and they said, why don't you go and do another thing? What is it you want to do? I said, well, actually, I want to help people. I don't really want to be a lawyer. I didn't think I would be able to do it, but I don't really want to be a lawyer. I want to help people. So they said, well, why don't you become a clinical social worker? And I thought, yeah, why not? So they sent me to university again to do a degree in social work, and I got that. Then I thought, I want to go and do natural medicine. And they sent me to do natural medicine. In the middle of it, I had an opportunity to go to Cardiff University Medical School and do psychiatry as a postgraduate. Now, I'm not a doctor, and only doctors were on this course. And they said, well, how did you get in? And I said, well, I kind of sneaked in the back door, really, and promised them that I would do my best. 4 degrees. The same people that ridiculed me when I didn't have anything were ridiculing me again because they were jealous. So then I realized, forget what people think about you, right? And just be who you are, degree or no degree. It makes really no difference. So what did make the difference? And what did make the difference for me was the fact that I had a team of people. Again, it's the human relationships. And I had mentors and people and a whole bunch of family and friends and support that were saying, you can do it if you really want to. And we will be here. And it'll be difficult. And so the team is really important. And I've always been, right through my life, somebody who wants to surround themselves, because I can't do everything. I can't put these things up even. Right? So Claire from Bold was going around helping me put them up, right? Putting wires in the computer. I cut myself. You want to know something? Got blood all over my nice white shirt because I couldn't put it in properly and I cut it, right? But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What matters is I'm giving you the best of my experience and my knowledge, and you can take and do what you want with it. But one thing I can tell you is build yourself a support team. It's your responsibility to do it. If you want, doesn't matter if you've got autism and you've got ADHD and you've got whatever you want to call it, or you don't have any of these things and you just feel, I don't have everything. You don't have everything. So what? Build yourself a team. Whether it's friends, whether it's professionals, doesn't matter. And that is the message of right now. Is I've got Alison here, which she works with Eden. She does her own thing, counseling, whatever. But for me, it's like, I know she's there for me. She's here tonight. She's come all the way, right? It's just amazing. Deborah, who works behind the scenes in Eden, doing all the back shop stuff, administration, is here tonight, right? And even though I've got 4 companies, 4 organizations that I work with, but they're here supporting me, and that is what makes me want to give back to other people. So we are your team. We are offering ourselves in Bold Bow House to be here on a regular basis, whether it's giving these workshops on a monthly basis to begin with, mastermind groups where we can get together either online or in here offline. We're going to be able to offer therapy and a whole list of telehealth stuff that we do. And we're going to offer it to anybody that wants it. Now, yeah, of course, it's a business. But the team part of it is human to human. And that is what we want to get the message across. So we're here as an inauguration event. And just to watch people coming in is the most fascinating, wonderful thing that can happen from our side. And I hope you can take things away from it from your side too. These are the kind of things that we're going to be offering. And as I wrote here, it's all about the team. It doesn't have to be us. Make your own team. But it's all about the team, whether it's your family, your friends, your colleagues. Bring them in and build your own support circles. It's not all about, this is the good news and the bad news, just depends whether way you look at it. It's not all about me talking. The way that I work is experiential, so you're part of it. So the first thing I want to teach you is something that I teach anyone that comes into contact with me. This is not just about this. Whether it's my clients, my patients, because I work also for the Priory Hospital, whether it's my family or friends, this is the bottom line for me because it's something that will affect your neurological, physiological state. Not the Tony Robbins state, but the physiological nerves that go from your brain to your body. It's called the vagal nerve. Vagal nerve is the 10th nerve out of 12, only 12 nerves, that come out of your brain into the rest of your body. There's only 12 of them. Most of them are going to your face and your nose and your throat. One of them, which is the longest nerve in your body apart from your spinal cord, is going to your face, your throat, your ear, your heart, your lungs and your gut, and other parts of your body. It's an amazing nerve. And one of the things that it does is it affects all these major organs and regulates them, where instead of activating the fight and flight resources that you have, you've probably all heard of fight and flight, right? So that's a very expensive resource in the body. And anyone that's got any neurodiversity, what goes alongside that, and a lot of times, is the activation of the fight and flight. We like to give it fancy names like anxiety or depression or any of that kind of stuff. I don't like these made-up names. What's actually happening is your body is going into emergency threat mode. That's what it's doing. Perfectly natural. But it's an expensive place to be in the body because it has to shut down other things in the body in order to fuel it. So it will shut down your the digestive system, it will shut down your immunity system, it will shut down that building system, close down your sexual activation system. Many, many systems will start shutting down when your fight and flight is up. So why activate it? When there's something you can do that can bypass that and still get that sense of emotional and nervous regulation. And that is called vagal breathing. And I want to teach you it right now. It's 4 breaths. That's it. How long does it take? A few seconds. And anyone wants a video follow-up of it, I can send them the video if you contact me. So basically it's like this. We have our feet planted on the ground. I have noticed that when I'm sitting, sometimes I sit with my heels and sometimes I sit with my toes, just generally speaking. And that's putting a strain on all our muscles. And now and then I catch myself and I put my 2 feet flat on the ground and I can feel an instant relief in my body. So that's just by the by, nothing to do with the breathing. So the breathing is like this. If anyone's ever done any breathing before or singing or plays a wind instrument, yeah? So we breathe with our abdomen. And the reason is quite simple. When we push our abdomen out, our diaphragm drops and allows our lungs to expand to their full capacity. Normally speaking, we've got our tummy tucked in, if you're like me, trying to keep it in as much as possible, and the diaphragm's up here, and the lungs only work about 50%. But as soon as you push your tummy out and allow the diaphragm to drop, you're going to fill your lungs with air. And air means more oxygen too. And that's going to feed all your organs in your body. But that's not the active ingredient. The active ingredient is once you breathe in and you start to breathe out, and you breathe out through your mouth with a little small hole, like you were blowing bubbles with a little bubble machine, like that. It causes a back pressure to the throat and hits that nerve as it's going down past your neck and tones it up. It's like a little gym for that nerve. And once that nerve starts to get toned up, it's going to really activate and regulate all your organs. Now, if anyone has, hopefully you don't have, but if you do, have a blood pressure machine, and you do your blood pressure and then do the 4 breaths, you will see your blood pressure drop and regulate instantly after this exercise. It works fast. You will not feel it, but it happens. So what we do is we push our tummy out and we breathe in through our nose for 3 seconds. This is really important. The count of 1, 2, 3. We hold it in our lungs for 2, and we breathe out slower for the count of 5. That's important. Breathing in for 3 puts the stress up. Breathing out for 5 de-stresses. That's the pulse. And that's the rhythm of life, by the way. Sometimes we're up, sometimes we're down. Sometimes we're up, sometimes we're down. It's just part of what it goes. So, breathe with me. I will use hand signals. That's breathe in, that's hold, and that's breathe out. We'll do 1 breath, and the rest of them you can do on your own. So, breathing in, hold it, and out. That's it. You do them 4 times. I do it 4 times, so 4 breaths, 3 times a day, morning, afternoon, and evening. If I'm going to do something like this, I do it just before I do it, and after I'm finished, I'll do it again. So that's an addition. So that's vagal breathing. Now, what is ADHD? What is ADHD? Interesting. Well, normally you would get told that it's all sorts of these things. It's inattention, and it's impulsivity and hyperactivity, and that's what we're told. Well, that's one way of looking at it, but that's not what I want to talk about. We also get told this. It's a superpower, and we've got super hyper focus, and you can go on for years, and oh, it's brilliant. Yeah, that maybe. That's another way of looking at it. But these two are kind of polarized, aren't they? That's how it was. Either you're messed up with some sort of hyperactivity, you're going all over the place, or you're a superpower person. I'd like to look at it a little bit differently. And this is the way that Hallowell and Ratey look at it. And that is, yeah, a person with ADHD can be really passionate and idealistic, but they can become also a little bit fanatical and a bit kind of, over the top with it. They can be meticulous and really get down to the detail, but they're also disorganized. They can get a lot done in a short time, believe me. Poof, like that, you can get it done. But yeah, they're procrastinating like there's no tomorrow, right? Appreciating things that are a little bit offbeat, but no, you get me to conform, definitely not conforming. Dreamers and visionaries, yeah, for sure. But bored by reality happens all the time. Honest, people with ADHD and also other, my friend who's got autism, I mean, he'll write down, you'll get to know exactly what he thinks. Super honest. Yeah, but sometimes that can be too, and you can be hurting feelings and you can be damaging your relationships. An intense desire to be free, for sure, but trouble working on teams or taking orders, that's also the other side of that. What paradoxes are going on here, right? Creative, like a popcorn machine. I don't know about your brains or people that you know. Every 5 seconds there's some idea getting popped up, right? But organizing these ideas, that's another thing. Curious. Curious. What's going to happen if I do this? What happens if I do that? But novelty, something new, distracts us, and we forget that first thing we did 5 minutes ago, and then we're on to something new. We're on to something new again. Super energy. Yeah, absolutely. Super energy, but impulsive and can't sit still. And so we've got two sides of the things going on, right? Can remember things that happened years and years ago, but 5 minutes, when you walk into a room, you're like, what am I doing here, right? What's going on? Full of ideas, but so many ideas, can't get anything done, right? Decisive. I mean, CEOs who are ADHD, soldiers who are ADHD, I mean, they are decisive like that, but they're also impatient, and so they might make a decision that's not quite something if they've just taken time to respond. And of course, anyone that knows anyone with ADHD, they have this super surge of excitement when something begins. But as soon as you get to the middle of it, it's like, right, okay, I'm on to the next thing, forget that. Entrepreneurs are exactly the same. They take a lot of responsibility, but they have trouble delegating. Never giving up. Yeah, I'm right here to the end, but I'm going to get any help? I'm not asking anybody for any help. So I would rather fail on my own 2 feet than ask anyone for help to help me get success. Acting on spur at the moment and procrastinating. They're really original. They come up with solutions. But they can also seem a little bit, not just out of the box, but out of the world, right? Completely wacko. And they're confident, but yet insecure. How can that be? And it just goes on and on and on, that there's paradoxes between this is really important and it's really advantageous, but yet this is really disadvantageous. And so humans are like that just in general. They're made up of everything. There's nobody that's 100% super person and has nothing on the other side. In fact, these are not disadvantages or advantages. They're all neutral. It just depends on the context. And we have to remember that we're humans in a context. And so once we understand the context, we'll understand where our behavior is coming from. This one, by the way, is something that we should all take note of in any relationships that we're in, whether it's work relationships, friend relationships, intimate relationships, is whether you're neurotypical or not, or whether you're ADHD or not, is we might love debate and conflict and getting into details. Not everybody does. And we have to be responsible for that, because that can ruin sometimes our relationships. A personal journey. Never mind listening to me all the time. Alison, I'm going to invite her up. She's part of our team. And she's going to give us some insight into her journey.
So I only found out these things about myself when I was a mature adult. I actually found them out when I was doing my counselling training. In a typical ADHD fashion, I'd had a career before that. So I was actually a primary school teacher, which I detested because I didn't really think that children should be put into boxes and systems, and that's how schools work, and it's not how I worked. So it was only much later in life when I thought, I'd had some counselling myself. I thought, do you know what? ADHD way of thinking, I can do that. Why don't I give up this career I have and go and do something that I take 4 years to train? I've got to have really poorly paid jobs while I'm doing it. And there's probably no work when I've done it, but I wanted to do it. So I did it. So we're back on that description of determination. Just go and see what it's like. And it's the best thing I ever did. But it hasn't been easy. So I'll tell you a little bit about my story when I was younger. So I didn't have supportive parents, but I was tested at school because I seemed to be brilliant at talking and very poor at doing everything else. So there was very little end product. I actually had an IQ test and I was told, or my mother was told, that I had an IQ of 150, but do a spelling test of basic spellings, no idea whatsoever. I used to cry when it was comprehension at school. I couldn't get change for PE. I used to wet the bed. I was just a nervous wreck, really. So it was labelled as anxiety. This is not uncommon for neurodivergent children because, of course, they feel anxious because the world's a difficult place. Now, if you can navigate the system, and Eden provides a way to do this for children, a brilliant way, because it's wraparound, it really supports children and adults and parents, because I think parenting support is so important. If you can get your child a diagnosis, your child understands this about themselves. So therefore, they grow up with this knowledge. Both my children are neurodiverse. I fought to get them a diagnosis. It didn't happen until much later because school would say, we don't see any evidence of this. And this, of course, was because they were masking, which is another thing that neurodivergent people do. So we pretend to be something that we're not. Today, I've come completely as myself. Before I was diagnosed, I probably would have wanted to wear a suit or tie my hair up or do something to conform. Now, here I am. This is me. And I bring that to my counselling. So when I work with clients, the majority of whom are neurodiverse, it's real. It is blunt. It's straightforward. I use very, very simple language. And I work exactly where the person's at. Now, that is a challenge for me, of course, because I've got to make some judgment on where somebody is and their use of language, but it works. And I would say that it's the one thing in my life I've done really, really well. It's the one thing I thrive at. It is my hyper-focus, doing counselling. But going back to when I was younger, problems with spelling, problems with no concept whatsoever of grammar. However, I've got a degree in English, so there's another paradox, but it's English lit, so it's ideas, so I could talk forever. And I actually had a scribe when I was doing my English degree because I needed a scribe, so that's how I got through the degree. But I've had problems throughout my life, and I thought it was me. There's something the matter with me, and of course there's nothing the matter with me. I just am equal but different. So finding this out, embracing it, owning it, using the language, connecting, as Dov said, with other people who are neurodiverse, and being able to work with clients just as they are is life-changing. It's also life-saving for people. There's so many people who are neurodiverse have addictions, and that's another of my specialities, and they come feeling suicidal, but especially if they're gamblers, they're in huge amounts of debt, there's a huge amount of shame. It's either go to counselling with this strange woman or kill themselves. That's how they see the choices. And that's the desperation that neurodivergent people often feel and how they seek out different behaviours to make themselves feel better. So there's a huge link between trauma, neurodiversity and addiction, and that's really my speciality. So work at Eden is fantastic because I know how much they care for the clients. It's instant. Somebody can say to me, do you know anybody at a good organisation? Straight away, Dov can work out what their strategy needs to be within, 2-3 hours at the most. So by the next day, there's a support system in place. So you can imagine if somebody's suicidal, that is life-changing. It's absolutely brilliant. It's not offered anywhere else whatsoever, that speed. Now, the two parts of counselling that I do at Eden are, I work with people who are newly diagnosed. They're given 3 sessions with me. No other place, as far as I'm aware, does that. And so often with other organisations, people will say, I've got a diagnosis of autism, for example. I don't even know what it means. I didn't ask the question. What do I do? None of that at Eden. You have 3 sessions to unpack what your diagnosis is. You can get support in other ways as well, with nutrition or with health, and you come away feeling like you're a real human being who deserves support. The other thing I offer is medium-term or longer-term counselling to help, psychotherapy to help people work through the feelings, the issues, the challenges, the behaviours. So I'm here to say that, you know, ADHD is not a superpower, but, you know, once you embrace it and understand yourself and become self-compassionate, then the world is out there for the taking, as Dov said, and the education system. And I love being a counsellor. It's my favourite thing, and I love working at Eden. So that is my story, and thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. I just want us all to understand something, because we're still kind of, in this day and age, we're still conditioned a little bit, even me, the ADHD, autism, and all that, they are medical pathologies. Right? Can't help it. That's the way that we're, the society that we're. And Eden is about changing that perception. But I just want to take you back 100 years ago so you can get exactly what I'm trying to say. And that is, about 100 years ago, maybe just a little bit more, we would all be sitting in this room not talking about ADHD or autism. Any idea what we would be talking about as some sort of neuro problem? Being left-handed. Being left-handed. Being left-handed, you tied your hand behind your back. You couldn't cut anything, so they thought you were stupid because the scissors were for right-handed people. You couldn't play the guitar. You couldn't play golf if you were wanting to play some sort of sport. And you couldn't write because your writing was all over the place. And schools wouldn't allow you to write with your left hand. And so you were put in a corner as a bit of a weird person with a funny brain that can't do all these things. And you might even have been called retarded, and you might have been called all sorts of horrible names. Today, left-handed and right-handed is the same thing. Who cares? Left-footed and right-footed. Who cares? They both have their advantages and disadvantages, right? If you're running a football team, you want a left-footed person to be on that side of the pitch, the same as you want a right-footed person on that side of the pitch. Okay, so if you're a tennis player, sometimes you want, or a boxer, you want, right? So that's the kind of thing we're talking about. Hopefully in a certain amount of time, it won't take 100 years, being neurodiverse is just being everybody's human, and that's just the kind of brain that I have. So here's where you do a little bit of work. So I want you to divide and if you feel very uncomfortable about this, then just be willing to experience the uncomfortability, right? All I want to do is you to go into a very short group. So these three here. Hold on. Nobody running away yet, so that's good. So, yeah. And here, the three of you. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, including you. And I'll give you pens in a minute. Here's this little group here. And if you can, yeah, even over here. Yeah. Did you get? Okay, you've got. Right, you're done. All right, so I'm going to give you pens. Right, we've got 2 types of pens. Right, so you've got black. Anyone need pens? Yeah. Anyone need a marker? Want a marker?
Yeah.
Yeah, we just need it. Yeah. If you want any more, there's colored pens here. Markers if you want. Colored pens. You're all adults, so I'm going to put that in the middle. You can open it up, take a pen. And you can do it in any way you want. You can do a drawing, you can write things, whatever way you want to look at it. I'm going to take a scenario. Okay? So let's say this group over here, right? An employee with ADHD is struggling with time management and frequently misses deadlines. How are you going to look at this? Now, we want to look at this with empathy and support, right? We're not fire them. That's not an answer, right? So how do we keep that person? Right. Over here, a co-worker doesn't understand why another employee with ADHD gets extra breaks. and perceives it as unfair. And they might even be making comments and so on. How are you going to deal with that situation? Over there, the group at the top. A manager notices that an employee with ADHD is highly creative and energetic, but struggles with organization and attention to detail. Now, you're in the workplace, you know, so I'm not going to make it very difficult and say you're brain surgeons and you can't, attention to detail is going to cause, like, you know, death instantly. But think of your own workplaces and how you might manage that. Over here, an employee with ADHD is finding it difficult to concentrate in a busy open plan office, right? Open plan, all sorts of sensory issues and people talking, and maybe somebody's got a dog, right? Believe me, it's not that strange, apparently. And over here, an employee with ADHD is highly innovative, comes up with excellent ideas, but struggles to follow through. Okay? Write down any ideas, what you think, and how you might handle that. Or maybe your own experiences with it. Or maybe what new ideas you might be able to come up with in order to incorporate this kind of person, might even be yourself, what you would want somebody to relate to you in a way that you can be incorporated in. All right? So, doing a few minutes, just get down on the piece of paper, write it down, and then we'll kind of share the ideas. All right? This is about learning from each other, and this is something that I strongly, strongly believe in. You can give it a fancy name like peer-to-peer groups or whatever it is. As you probably realize by now, I'm not really into kind of labels, but people gathering and learning from each other, I think that's the active ingredient. And that's what people do all over the world. Whether you're a scientist, you're learning from each other. Well, you're not giving everything away if you're a scientist, by the way. Just so you know, professors and scientists are the most ruthless people out, by the way, just in case you didn't realize that. But generally, we as people, if we want to have a high quality life, we share our information and we learn from each other. And it's magnificent how much we can learn, because everybody's leading different lives and they come across different experiences. And if you can gather their information, first of all, nobody loses anything by sharing their information, and somebody else gains. And that's even true in the commercial world. What we've realized now in the commercial world, where everything used to be top secret, is everything now is open source. So we open the sources and we share, because we know that if we learn from other people, we're going to get further along the road and much quicker. So that's what we're going to do now, and that's what we also are going to start in Eden, is doing peer-to-peer groups, whether online or in here, where we'll do regular peer-to-peer groups and learn from each other with all sorts of things. So I just want to go around now the different groups and see what you came up with. Mention to the room what your task was, so that we can all kind of get the context of what you're talking about, and see what we can learn from that. And maybe if there's some questions, we can ask questions on it. So who wants to start?
Here we go.
Okay, there you go. Love it.
So ours was if someone you work with, if you're managing someone that needs help with time management and they frequently miss deadlines, So we said about helping them create a calendar and specific digital one.
Yes, the Pomodoro technique, and what it is, you allow yourself a time
Yeah.
to finish a task without any distraction. That's what we use when we do like the officer economics training and stuff.
Do you use it? Yeah, I think it's
I myself with
fantastic.
ADHD, so I know it. I can't deal with the distraction. I need to get this done.
That's
and it
amazing.
really helps actually, to finish the task in a given time period actually, so you know what you're working on.
So that is fantastic. I'll just kind of give you my experience of that while we're going along. I don't know if people do this normally. It's just me maybe. But you get the Pomodoro, you put it doesn't have to be a tomato, right? But you can get them in tomato form. And you put it on for 15, 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever it is you're giving yourself. And you want to finish that task within that time and then maybe reward yourself with a break or whatever and then do it again. So because I'm like kind of extreme in lots of things I do, extreme and right, I do things like this. So I put my Pomodoro on for one task, right? And it's like 20 minutes, half an hour. And of course, that's when you start to get a little bit bored or whatever. And I put it on again on a different task. I just go into a new task, right? And so I get the novelty every time. I don't have to have the break. So if I'm reading a book, let's say I read a book and then I want to write emails, so that's write emails, and then I go there, and then I can come back to emails later on down the road. And so I'm just changing my tasks. Because some people say, oh, I haven't got time for breaks. I can't put break in every time. So just change your tasks because it's novel. Yeah. And if you change your tasks and it's novel, you've got that novel energy coming up every time. Wonderful, brilliant idea.
Maybe like a checklist.
Yeah. One thing that's amazing about checklists is that there's an amazing kind of reaction that takes place when you tick it off. And it's important to tick off the checklist, not just to say, I've done it, right? And better a tick than a score, right? A tick is done it. Now, there's a biochemical reaction, and I'm not going to go into all the fancy dopamines and serotonins and stuff because everyone's becoming a neuroscientist, right? But what to know is that your brain and body reward you when you do something that you want to do, right? So when you tick it, you're going to get a biochemical reaction saying, more of that, please. Fantastic.
I put workstation assessment actually being in a ADHD myself. I like to work in a clean environment where it's like no distraction on my work desk actually, and that's very important for me. Otherwise, I've seen people easily get distracted actually, right? Getting very fidgety and stuff like this. So it's like a clean workstation is very, very important.
Amazing. And your one was time management, right? That was your thing. And we've got to be careful with time management because that's very old school. Right? We're talking about new brain and old brain, right? So time management, obviously things have to get done eventually. But in the old days, time management was everything has to be done by the hour, paid by the hour, done 9 to 5, all this. We've learned to move on from that. And I know when I work with people, Deborah's here, right? So I don't, how many hours have you done? Yeah. How many minutes have you done? What have you done? When you have the freedom to work on your own time and be more task-orientated or mission-orientated rather than time-orientated, people feel that creativity and they work much harder, by the way. And they donate more because they enjoy it. And there's nothing better than getting an ADHD person as an employee when they enjoy it, right? And it's interesting to them because these are the triggers for an ADHD person to work constantly, right? So that is fantastic ideas. Absolutely. Thank you. Next. Yeah.
So ours was a colleague getting frustrated that an ADHDer was given multiple breaks throughout the day and they felt it was unfair. So some of the ones we put down are a bit boring, but creating a policy that actually protects them. So there is something kind of written in place to help them. So there's kind of something in black and white to say, we can give them this. Kind of going off that one, having a flexible work environment and inclusive environment for everybody. So accommodations for multiple needs are made. So if you're a parent and you need to leave early to pick up your kids, then it seems fair for everybody. Everyone gets equity, they get what they need to do the job, not just the person with a disability.
Love that.
One of them was true, but also a bit of a joke one. I put some kind of ADHD simulator so they can experience what it's like. So I just said, go and send them with their laptop to a rock concert and see how much they can concentrate there.
I mean, that's brilliant, isn't it? To understand the other person, okay?
Yeah.
I love the first couple, which is about, okay, there might be something in it. Why does an ADHD person get breaks whenever they want? Why doesn't everybody get breaks?
Yeah.
Like, look, if you're going to be an irresponsible employee and spend more time on breaks than actually working, well, then maybe you shouldn't be working there. But if you're given the responsibility and you say, look, this is your task again, this is what we want from you. If you need to stand up and walk around or you have to go out, I know when I used to smoke cigarettes, believe it or not, and I smoked for a long time and I wanted to give up. Now, one of the difficult thing is that when you give up smoking cigarettes, you give up the cigarette breaks on the veranda or outside, right? And they mount up, these minutes. So, oh yeah, I'm just out for a cigarette, and you don't need ADHD people to get extra breaks. Cigarette people are out for the cigarette. So I used to go out for the cigarette breaks. No cigarettes. But I used to continue having the breaks. Actually helped me stop. So everybody's out and I'm seeing them smoking and I'm thinking, there's no advantage. I'm also getting a break. So yeah, why can't everyone have their break as long as it's responsible? Fair enough. I love it. And definitely in the rock concert, to try and do work, that's it. It's not that there's an attention deficit in ADHD, is that they're over attentive to everything that's going around. That's why the whole thing is named wrong. Thank you very much for that. Next.
Topic was an employee with ADHD is finding it difficult to concentrate in a busy open plan office environment. We sort of split it down into 6 questions: why, what, who, when, where, and how. So first have a chat with them as to why these issues, what environment itself is creating an issue. It could be as little as the lighting, the light's not fixed, it's buzzing, I can't concentrate, or my desk is faced opposite a TV and I watch that all day. And then so that ties into the what. You're creating a plan then, unique to that person, and any other non-relevance in the sort of business that will help them combat these specific issues. So, all right, so the TV's opposite your desk, we'll move you to a different desk. That might help their productivity. We'll fix the light, that sort of thing. Who? So you work with that person, but you also educate everyone else in the workplace as to how they can help. So, is it that person that they choose to, when they're watching a video, so they put headphones in, they're playing out loud so no one else can concentrate. And it also helps them to understand that you're also not just doing things for them. It's like one ADHD person, you do things for everyone. So if someone else gets distracted or certain things bother someone else, they're also able to come to you to ask for help as well. Anyone else? When? So you have continuous checking conversations, as one of the groups mentioned, just to ensure that you're continually helping them and that you're continually supporting them and they also know that you're there for them. So it helps, the other issues I've talked about, today actually I can concentrate quite well, but the light, I can't see anything on my desk, the light's not the best. And you continue into them because the thing about these plans is they're malleable and they can be changed. Where it can be as little as, like I said, their desk. They come back and they spend the first 2 hours of the day organising their desk because it's not how they want everything. So it might be alright, well, this is just this person's desk. Other one's hot desking, but this one is theirs. Or it could be office wide, it could be, they don't like, or something else is bothering them, so they'll change it. There's too many empty chairs and the person is that bothers the person because it's not neat enough, or whatever it might be. But it's understanding how small or big the problem is. And then how, it's simple. Like I said, for the check-ins, you can get templates online, free to download, print them off. And we put small changes can have big effects. That light, they might not be able to focus, might be 50% productive throughout the day. But then when you change the bulb, that's their issue, that's sorted. And you can then devote all the time out to think about anything else. So it's sort of just continuously working with them to make sure that you understand their issues and how you can best combat those issues and what everyone else can do in the environment to help them be more productive and ultimately make the business more productive as well.
I think that's amazing, and I got really the feeling from you of being held, right? Yeah, being held. People, also fairness, and looking out for ADHD or not, looking out for people's what kind of disturbs them, what makes them comfortable. And we know this from corporate studies already, I think close to maybe 70, 80, 90 years already, that people work better when they're in environments that are comfortable for them to work in, right? And that's exactly how you're applying that to people that have other things that they need to make their environment comfortable. I'll tell you a story. I was in a very high-powered business meeting, and in this particular organization, they have a whole department of people with neurodiversities, whether it's autism or ADHD or other things. And they're used, if you like, as employees because they're extremely creative. So this was the first time I'd ever experienced this. And I was in a high-powered meeting, and maybe about 10 of them, right, round the board table, they come in. And they were all around 25 to 30 years old. And they sit round. And we're having this business meeting, coming up with ideas. And they're bouncing balls, and they've got things, and they're looking around, and they're doodling, and one's talking to the next one. And I'm thinking, this is a complete mess. What is this? This is not even serious. At the end of an hour, we had to summarize everything that's going on, and it went over to them what they suggested that we would do from now on. And I fell off my chair. Not only were they paying attention to every single word, but they were all calculating together what the strategy that needed to be done in order for them to go away and come up with a creative solution. But they knew exactly what the assignment was. It was incredible. Now, if we, at that point, it wasn't me, but if the people that organized the meeting, because they knew what was going to happen, I didn't, if they hadn't made it comfortable for them to do that, it would never have taken place, because they wouldn't have been in their element to order to give us their best. So it is really important what you said, all of these ideas, and I want us to keep all these pieces of paper, because we're gonna feed that back to people. Okay, final group.
Yeah, so this was someone with ADHD who had, was creative, had strengths, was creative, but was also disorganized.
Right, strengths but disorganized.
So we split it into building the strengths and overcoming the weaknesses, because I think it's I've heard it's twice as important to know the strengths as it is to know the weaknesses. So one suggestion was like maybe I wasn't sure if it was from the perspective of a colleague or from I sort of imagined maybe it doesn't really matter, but maybe that they should get a mentor that could help with the strengths and the weaknesses. There's free website. There's a website, exceptionalindividuals.com, where you can get free mentoring. So yeah, with regard to building the strengths, ask them what they're good at. One of the people there said resources. You said what resources are there, which that applies to strengths and weaknesses. What resources does the workplace have that could help with the strengths, and what resources are there that could help them overcome the weaknesses? A couple of things also for the way of overcoming the weaknesses, maybe like a daily planner. You can get these daily planner sheets, and also a timer that can help for specific tasks. Break them down and have a timer, and then also broader questions you can ask them if obviously in a tactful way. If you're a colleague or whatever, that help them ask the question, is this necessarily the right place for them to be working? If it's not working out, maybe they can work somewhere else that's more your idea of first friendly if it's not working out. Or even bigger question, is this even the right work for them? It could, because it might not be. They may have talents that are more conducive to being an entrepreneur and another line of work else.
I mean, these are fantastic. I mean, that's true for any employee, right? I've worked with many people that wasn't the job that they should have been in, and they might have been much better in another part of the company. We find it a lot. I don't know if there's any managers here, but we find it a lot that people are in management, that maybe management is not their forte, and they were much better at being as an employee in the department, and they were like super duper, and then you move them over to management, they lose a good employee and they gain a mediocre manager. It happens a lot because they don't train for managers. So yeah, mentorship, which is a bit of kind of training involved with that, I think is really important. I gave you my story, which included mentors all through my life and up till today. I have mentors all the time. I have mentors for running my business. I have mentors for my professional life, which is not business, like as a therapist. I have mentors in my social life. I have mentors all around, and not always the same person. So mentors is really important. By the way, mentors for school children, I think, is really important too. Sometimes we forget mentors are only for adults. No, mentors for children to give them that direction. And it's not all about saying, oh, you're fantastic, you're fantastic. No, it's about being like Alison said, sometimes about being direct, reflecting back what you see and what maybe they don't see can be really important. And children can take that as well if you're honest and authentic and direct with them. So yeah, thank you for that. Let's keep all of these things because they're really, really, really valuable. By the way, just as you noticed, Angela walked in the middle. She's been on the road for like 2 or 3 hours already. How long?
2.5 hours to do a 50-minute journey.
2.5 hours.
Yeah.
And that's because of Coldplay or because of our stuff, maybe because everyone's coming in to see this. Anyway, that's dedication and I really appreciate it and thank you, thank you, thank you. So as we're coming to the latter part of this workshop, I am hopefully you're gaining a lot of insight at the moment, but I really want to finish with a bang and give you some really good skills or mindset on way to look at this, and this is about what I call the 6 C's framework and self-compassion. So what are the 6 C's that, and by the way, I don't think, because I don't make a distinction, by the way, maybe if you've not realized yet, whether you're neurodiverse, neurotypical, neuro whatever you want to be, I just see everybody as a human being. And I think once you do that, you can be freed of a lot of emotional and symbolic handcuffs, basically, that pull us down all the time because we have some symbolism that attaches it to all sorts of different experiences that we might have had in the past or what society thinks of us, blah, 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 blah. So if we think of ourselves as human beings, this will be wonderful for people that are neurodiverse, but also for people that are neurotypical. This is pretty universal. And those 6 C's are this. And this is about getting a high quality life. And the first thing we need is courage. We need to be responsible for these 6 C's. Courage does not mean you're not frightened. Courage, by definition, means you are frightened, but you're willing to move forward. Courage is about understanding that there's all the jitters inside, all the biochemistry, all the nervous system is like, why you think you can do this, but you do it anyway. I kind of wake up almost every morning like that. Like, what am I doing? Do I really think that I can put on this workshop when a million things went wrong already today? But yeah, I'm going to do it because there is something really important that I want to get across to people like yourselves. And you are important enough for me to get through all that I need to get through in order to stand here right now. So courage is important, but it's not enough. We have to have that curiosity. I wonder what it will be like when I finish this workshop and, we've done it. I wonder what it will be like when I go and meet my mentor, or when I go to the boss and I say, you know what, I need a little bit of help with the sensory issues or changing a light bulb or something like that. You need the courage, but you need the curiosity. What will it be like and how will he or she or they respond? Be curious in our life because that curiosity will ignite the motivation. And then comes three really, really important parts. And that is to commit to it. We might have the courage, we might have the curiosity, but we have to have action. And action means commitment. Yes, I'm going to do this. And even when you don't feel like it, because more times than not, you're going to be like, I don't feel like doing this. But if you're committed and you get through it, what we're talking about are changes in your brain. So commitment, I'll do it even though I don't like it. To be continuous. So stay in the game, right? Keep coming back and doing it. There's sometimes continuous means, I didn't get up and do it today, but I'll come back and I'll stay in it and I'll do it again. When I was helping people, as I told you before, I gave up smoking and then I learned techniques to help other people stop smoking. And they would come back to me after like 4 months and they would be crying and this and what. Oh, I had a cigarette. Oh, blowing the whole thing. Or somebody who's been in AA and they've counted 500 days and then they had a drink and it's all blown. No, it's not all blown. It's not. You had it. You're back on the way again. That's what being continuous is. And being consistent. If you're going to do something once a week, you do it once a week. You're going to do it every morning, you do it every morning. You be consistent. Now, why is consistent so important? Because it will change your brain. This is not gobbledygook talk. This is about neural pathways. If you want to change your life, you need to change the pathways in your brain, and you do it quite easily by repetition. Take any kid, and they'll say, can you tell me that story? And you tell them a story. And they'll say, I want the story again. And you tell them again. I want the story again. And you tell them again. And they'll want the story 100 times. Or they'll want to listen to the cartoon 100 times. Or they'll want, and they know it off by heart. That's them practicing consistency. Practicing learning. Learning is about repetition. Doesn't matter what you're learning. If you repeat and repeat and repeat, you make super highways in your brain. And this is proven scientific facts. But that's not enough either, because that's not an easy thing. Compassion, remember compassion? Compassion for others, compassion for ourselves. Okay, so we might understand compassion for ourselves, right? Okay, self-compassion, take care of yourself, okay? But why is compassion for others important? Who cares about anyone else? Why is that important? For me? Well, yeah, it is. Because contributing to others, contributing to society, contributing to your family, contributing to your neighbors, contributing to whatever it is that you're contributing to, coming 2.5 hours for a 50-minute journey, right? It's madness. But she could have turned around, or maybe have said, got to the point here and said, well, I'm not even going in. It's the end. Right? Why should I even bother? Very embarrassing, very thing. I'm coming through the middle, right at the end. No, that's contribution. Why is contribution important? Because we're built like that. And when we contribute outside of ourselves, something happens inside of ourselves. And that doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what you are. It doesn't matter what kind of brain you've got. Even the poorest person should contribute to somebody else. Even the most lowest of learning disabilities needs to contribute and feel that their life has meaning and purpose. And obviously, if you're privileged enough to have a fully working brain that's amazing, don't keep it to yourself. Contribute to others if you want to help yourself. So, oops, is that right? Yeah. So I just wanted Angela, where's she gone? Yep. Okay. To do a little final exercise where you just kind of reflect on your own experiences. And I really commend you all, because this is not an easy workshop, by the way. This is not, I'm kind of wanting to call it welltainment, sort of an entertaining wellness thing. But I know being a participant in a workshop like this is not easy. Our brains start moving. So I want you to consider for yourself your own experiences and how you're going to be compassionate to yourself and how you're going to do all these things that you came up with for other people, to be reflective and apply them also to yourself. No matter what you are, you're ADHD, you're ASD, you're dyspraxic, you're got a brain that's called neurotypical, whatever you are, left-handed, right-handed, makes no difference. Apply these things to yourself. And anyone that gets in touch with us, and I'll try and do it through Eventbrite, I think there's a way of contacting you, or write to the organisers, which was done together with Bold, and I will communicate with you and give you some ideas and give you more follow-up on what we're doing. Anyway, Angela, just enjoy this. This is an enjoyable part, especially because it's from Angela. And then just enjoy this few minutes of self-reflection. Go for it.
Okay, so it's just a quick mindfulness exercise, just give you a little bit of insight into yourself, just a couple of moments, and then we'll be back in the room, okay? So if you just want to take a couple of nice deep breaths for me. And if you want to just close your eyes, because it is imagination. And just feeling that breath now, going in through your nostrils and out through your mouth. And just feel that nice calming effect, because when we're calm, we're relaxed, and when we're relaxed, we're calm. And just let go of any tensions that you may be holding in your body from the day. And maybe you can be aware of what it is that you're allowing yourself now to let go of. And I'd like you to just bring to mind a recent situation, either related directly to your ADHD or something that you found particularly challenging. It could be something small and insignificant, or it could be something significant. Just allow it to come up and into your mind and just observe it. And as you observe that situation, do so with curiosity, like a movie playing out in front of you on a big screen. And notice all the little details of that situation as it arose, with compassion and awareness. No judging or no criticising, just observing, and bring in that self-compassion. And as you watch, imagine that somebody close to you, a family member or a dear friend, is in that very same situation right now. I wonder, what would you say to them? How would you comfort them? How would you support them? What offers of kindness would you give? And can you offer yourself the same level of kindness and the same level of understanding? Can you acknowledge now for yourself that it's okay to struggle and that everyone faces challenges and that you are always doing the best that you can in this and every moment? And as you continue to breathe deeply, just allow all those feelings of self-compassion begin to fill every fibre of your being. Imagine that self-compassion as a warm light, a light spreading throughout the whole of your body. And now, think about how you can approach similar situations as you move forward into the evening and the next day and the coming weeks and into the future. With the same curiosity and self-compassion, how might it change these experiences for the better? And when you're all ready, and in your own time, because we're all very different, just take one nice last deep breath and slowly begin to open your eyes and become aware of your surroundings once more.
Wonderful. Thank you, Angela. Just before I ask you a little reflection on what that exercise was like for you, and then we're going to be coming to a close of the evening. If you felt that this was beneficial for you and you'd like to encourage others, then I'll ask you, if you can, to talk to Tova or Jay on camera and just kind of give a testimonial just to help others, encourage them.
It takes 1 minute.
1 minute. So, what was that exercise that Angela did? And you can incorporate your general experience. What was that like for you right now? Anyone want to share what they experienced in that mindful moments?
It's like talking to myself internally, you know. It's like the mediation with myself, actually. From the ADHD point of view, it's a mediation between me and my feelings and what's going through.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that.
I found that really serene because I've had a very busy working day. Then the train was cancelled, and then I was going to look at what I was going to write to say on the train, and we stopped up, and we're all like sardines, and I hate that. That's really not me. And I felt really stressed, and that was beautiful. So thank you for that. I needed that. So.
I recently realised that I don't have a mind's eye, so any visualisation exercise I can't actually do. But I do find kind of guided meditations quite relaxing. So although I can't picture the event or visualise anything, so I can't see myself, I can't see the event. And if I kind of follow the guidance, I'd just be talking in my own head and then not listening to what you're saying. So I kind of took it more as a kind of almost like mini guided meditation rather than actual exercise. So I benefited from it, maybe not in the way that it was intended to.
All right. So look, Angela, go.
That's your own uniqueness.
Yeah.
We all experience our imaginations in very different ways. Some of us are very visual, some of us are very auditory, some of us are very kinesthetic. So if you can't actually see what it is, then just imagining it and just allowing those thoughts or feelings to come up that are relating to the words that we're speaking. But you seem to go with it.
Yeah, like I said, I benefit from like guided meditation, but not visualization exercises. So I found it helpful, but maybe in a different way.
Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you.
Language for you, then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also want to, over here, just a sec, while the mic's going over, anyone ever tells you that you did that wrong, or you tell yourself, oh, I've done that wrong, okay? No, there's no right and wrong. That was a timeout for you to reflect on yourself in any way you want. If it was completely silenced, then our mind was going to wander, and so that was just the kind of guidance into our minds. It wasn't, let's do an exercise and then, right? So fantastic. And also back to the noticing, by the way, the noticing of the aggravation of the clicking and the noticing what it did in your body is as helpful as any of these mindful exercises. The fact that you noticed it and you didn't let the experience, the uncomfortable experience, I may say, of it overwhelm you, and you didn't because you're still sitting here and you're still participating, is to be commended. It might have been very difficult for you, but you still hung in there, and that's to be commended.
It made me relax a little bit because I don't tend to relax because I tend to be always thinking about things or always on the go and find it really hard to switch off. So, yeah, it just made me relax and, yeah, just stop like thinking about things.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. All I can say is many years ago, I was in a very high power job for many years, and I was beginning to get really overwhelmed with all sorts of not very pleasant experiences. And I had the opportunity to go to a spa hotel, and this will be my last story, a spa hotel that I'd never heard of because I didn't go to spa hotels. I smoked 30 cigarettes a day and was zooming around for 18 hours a day working, workaholic. And as I was leaving my organization, they said, you can go to a hotel on our account. And I said, look, pick any hotel. And they picked a 5-star spa hotel with the amount of calories on every little bit of food you eat. And everybody walks around in robes. And I'm out in the outside smoking in the driveway. And I got a chance to do something, because I'll have to do something while I'm here. So they had every hour, they had all sorts of different events. And one of them was a kind of a guided meditation thing like that. And you had to lie on the floor and do this, kind of observing your thoughts. And I was like ridiculing about, I'm here anyway, so I may as well do it. And it took me right back to when I was 7 years old in Glasgow in primary school. And after you do physical education, the teacher always made you lie on the floor. And it took me right back there. And I realized what you said. I realized that I hadn't relaxed. I hadn't come into contact with my own body for years. I didn't even know how to do it. At that point, I realized I have to look into this more. I wasn't in any of this. And I went to study natural medicine and understand what's going on inside. And then I thought, wow, I've got to go out and do this. So thank you for that. That's exactly what would happen.
Well-being and ergonomic training in the corporate, because people literally burn out actually, right?
Unbelievable.
Just that 2 minutes of like self-reflection, just close your eyes. It can change things around.
Yeah.
And we have observed time after time. We've done a lot of research on that. And it really just 2 minutes of just self-reflection, it could be a game changer.
Absolutely. So thank you, Angela, for bringing that. I'm going to give it to close. Thank you for staying even later than we expected. Again, I ask you, if you can, even if it's not favourable, the Glaswegian at the back, that's okay. You can say that, that's your testimonial, that's fine. If you can either talk to Tova or Jay, I would really appreciate it. And keep in touch if you want more of the same and also some other things. And thank you for helping us open this hub here in the centre of Manchester. There's all sorts of things, other things that we do that you'll learn about. We can do ADHD assessments for children and adults. Within a few days, we get them up and running. We do it immediately. We have no waiting lists. We have clinicians from all over the country. All of them are in the NHS. All of them are consultants. And we've got tons of therapists, of which you've met one tonight. That's all for another time. Thank you very, very much for participating. And I wish you only wellness experiences on your way forward. Thanks a lot. So Jay's here and Tov is there. If you could just say a word on your way out, I would really, really appreciate it. Thank you very much.